Hi, I'm Zachary Farnell. Thank you for joining me for another edition of your Timberlane weather update. We're in the skies above us in the atmosphere right now. We are seeing a battle brewing. Cold has reigned supreme since mid-August, bringing us unseasonably cold temperatures that we have not seen in a very long time. However, the warmth is expected to build over the next couple of days, and we will finally see a victory for the warm. Expect temperatures to reach into the mid-70s early next week and this weekend before finally the cold strikes back and fall reigns supreme once again. Now, the last couple of days we have been seeing cold really take its grip across the region. Much of New England, we see these temperatures into the 50s, even northern New England reaching into some of those 40-degree temperatures. Even towards the Carolinas, we're not seeing those extremely warm temperatures that maybe you'd expect, really only towards the 60-degree range, where maybe you'd expect some 70s around this time of the year. So not unseasonably cold, but a little bit chillier than what we've been used to, and overnight we really saw the cold take a grip over New England especially. Look at this, cold expected to really only dip into the mid-30s, got down into the low 30s, and that's why you woke up this morning. We had a frost advisory. You saw frost having to get scraped off of cars across the whole district really, and you saw these temperatures dipping in to some of the lowest we've seen in about 6 to 8 months. Really, since early spring, we haven't seen something quite like this. So again, the cold has been prevailing recently, but today we saw a little bit of a shift, a little bit of a warm-up. We'll get into that more later. So you'll see temperatures really only reaching into the mid to upper 50s today, especially towards the coast. But inland, where yesterday you saw those 40-degree temperatures, those have been flushed out and replaced instead with 50-degree temperatures across the board. And much of the Midwest across this area dealing with some 70-degree temperatures that are going to continue to persist to move across the United States. For right now, we're dealing with a very strong high pressure system that is really going to command what we are looking at on the fronts map, on the temperature map, on everything we see. It's all going to come from this high pressure system. And you can't see a high pressure system because the absolute lack of clouds. Much of this area dealing with nothing in terms of clouds. We saw that for much of today and yesterday. The last couple of days have been very sunny, a generally cool but still sunny week despite a low pressure system persisting off of the east coast of the United States. For tomorrow, the fronts map, you still see that low pressure system, before it will begin to drift away on Saturday, but this is the high pressure system I'm talking about, commanding the eastern United States. Meanwhile, in the west, we're going to take a quick look out there and see that for the first time this year, we are seeing snow on the forecast somewhere on this map in the United States. It's going to be a bit of a mix around Colorado, but pure snow expected around the Utah area. Salt Lake City expecting accumulations from this snowstorm. My goodness, this low pressure system will begin to fade away a little bit on Saturday, but you still see that mixing of rain and snow, even though we do not have a strong low pressure system across this area. This rain will persist not just into Saturday, but also into Sunday. You know what else is going to persist? This high pressure system. I've talked about it a lot here, so this is why it's such an important factor. This is Saturday. We still see this thing kicking around, and on Sunday, it just gets bigger and stronger. Expecting this thing to really dig in and bring some extreme conditions that we haven't seen in a little bit. We're expecting a big temperature change from this, mainly because the way the high pressure systems work. They rotate clockwise in the northern hemisphere, meaning that right now, at its current position, Thursday, even a little bit towards Friday, it's dragging down cold air as it spins from Canada. However, as it begins to retrograde a little bit back west and a little bit south, it's tapping into some warmer weather, and that warmer weather will begin to drag its way up into New England. That's why you're seeing on Sunday here, this is really expected to be a pretty warm day. Even in towards next Monday, the warmest day, this high pressure system is still going to be kicking around. It's going to command the cool that we saw recently. Now it's going to begin to command the warmth that we will see coming up soon. However, just as this thing commands the beginning of next week, you will see up to our north some cold fronts, some stationary fronts. It's a mess of upper level systems up there into Canada. That will eventually reign supreme, digging out this high pressure system late next week. And you can see basically these curtains, I like to think about them, draped across the United States. You see this one right here, it's a system, cold front, stationary, warm, cold again back down to a stationary. It's essentially separating two air masses, this relatively warm one associated with this high pressure system and a much cooler one that we recently just saw move into the western United States. That's bringing some of that mixing of rain and snow and pure snow in towards Utah. This will be one relatively cool system, but it's not going to be cold enough or strong enough to break through and get to us late next week. That's what we're looking up to the north for. Another cold front moves up through this way. We're expecting it to dive south towards early next week. So this is late this weekend, early next week. We'll expect it to kind of dig in towards this area and really begin to push across the entire United States, reaching our area by late next week. It's got a far journey to go, so it won't be the Arctic air that we're seeing right now by the time it makes it to us. But it will be a significant cool down and will finally push this high pressure system out of place and give something else a chance to dictate our weather. Let's watch all of that play out on the 5-day forecast. So I talked a lot about what we can expect to see in terms of fronts and high pressure systems. This is what we're going to look at basically. It's going to be extremely sunny, very clear, dictated by that, again, very strong high pressure system. Doesn't really allow clouds to form, and we begin to see those low temperatures shift upwards towards 50 degrees away from the freezing that we saw over the last couple of days. Along with the upward trend in the low temperatures, you see a great upward trend in the high temperatures. Next Monday, expect the mid-70s across our area, maybe even a little bit warmer as you get towards the coast. Again, on the extended forecast, I said it, you expect the cold front to move through Thursday, but another bump up in the warmth on Wednesday as the high pressure system clings for dear life and gives one final push at its remaining strength. Again, mid-70s expected on Wednesday. Generally pretty warm and pretty clear even as this cold front moves through. We're not expecting any major showers, rain, snow, no precipitation over the next week to 2 weeks. Really expecting some pretty clear temperatures, even pretty clear skies, even as the temperatures begin to drop late next week with a major cold front moving through. I'm Zachary Farnell. Thank you very much for joining me for another edition of your Timberlane weather update. Even as we do experience the warmth over the next couple of days, it is important to remember we are getting towards winter. And if you're looking for a cold Halloween, we are still on track to see that as a great possibility, especially since we are seeing cold prevailing late next week. The forecast for Halloween is still very much up in the air and anything can happen in the meantime. So stay weather alert, weather aware, and make sure that you realize if it's going to be frosty in the morning, as I forgot this very morning and had to scrape off my windshield in a great rush. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm Zachary Farnell. Enjoy the warmth while you still can, and signing off.